What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the age-old discussion of game length and if Marvel Spider-Man 2 is too short. Now, the short answer right away is no. I want to just make sure you guys know kind of where I'm coming from. I am a quality over quantity person. In fact, we talked about the length of this game leading into it when it was kind of, well, more, not necessarily rumors, but kind of just people saying, well, you know, it's going to be closer to the first game, and then the arguments that kind of came out of that. Then we had the reviewers, right, play the game. We got a little bit more insight as to how long the game is, but now we're playing it, right? The average Joe is playing the game. Now, I did get a review code from them a day before. I do appreciate that, and I'm still not done. I just want to kind of make that known. So here's the thing, okay? 17 hours is how far I am at the time I'm recording this. I'm going to put another, 5, 6, 7 hours in today. Probably beat it today or tomorrow and 100% it. Again, like I said, I'm very much on the side of quality over quantity. The game's not too short, okay? I mean, it's actually ridiculous when I hear that stuff, and I think playing it, actually, having it in my own two hands, that makes it even more known to me that, no, it's not the case. You may have an opinion hearing about it, but I really think this is a bigger issue with the gaming industry. I mean, again, we've talked about some of these things. Not every game needs to be 50, 100 hours. There is a lot of fluff in games that are that long. Not every quest, not every side thing, not every even main thing in these games are incredible. Now, I'm not saying every single thing in this is not like a bowing down to Spider-Man video. I'm not saying everything is perfect in Spider-Man, but here's the thing. There is a massive amount of quality in Spider-Man 2. This is not a review, but I'll give you a few examples that I actually said in my early impressions video. Everything's improved. In my opinion, everything's improved. It's not perfect, but crimes, they've been improved. Now, actually, one of the things that have been done to improve crimes is make them shorter. Crimes take substantially less time. I think they actually give you more, like in terms of experience or tech parts when you complete them. I think the reward for crimes are bigger and makes it more likely that you'll do them, but they're also shorter. So why do I bring that up? Well, that actually decreases, I would say, the overall game time. A lot of the side things, there are less of them, I think, overall, but they're more meaty. The side missions, I think, are actually excellent in this game, but there's far fewer than there were in the past games. That's actually exactly what I asked for. I don't even know why that's such a big deal or why that becomes such a big argument. Don't you want things that are better? Don't you want things that are good? And that's my main argument here. It's always been my main argument. Look, I love Persona 5, one of my favorite games of all time. 100 hours. There is fluff in that. There's actually not too much. But as I've said before, the amount of games that are that long, that are elite, are very, very few. You think about some of the best open world or big games out there that take 50, 60, 70 plus hours to beat. There's not a long list, and it's because it's the best games out there. So why does every game need to be 50, 60, 70 hours? And I brought it up, and the funny thing is, some people actually think I'm kidding with this. No, there are people out there. I see it on Twitter. $1 should not convert to an hour, okay? So when a game is $60, $70, the hours in that game do not need to be, let me say it one more time, do not need to be 60 to 70 hours to make it worth it. That is actually insane. What about some of the best games of all time back in like the PS3 and Xbox 360 gen when it was $60 per game, and games with Uncharted 2, one of the best games I think ever created, and such a jump from one, and define the PS3 generation. That game is like 9 hours long, and it had multiplayer, but you're not really playing it, especially back then. Uncharted 2, you're not playing Uncharted 2 for the multiplayer, right? You're playing it or you're buying it for the single player. 9 hours, $60. Is that fair? Yes, actually, because it is quality all the way through. And I do believe, I only mentioned crimes and side missions, but I think the story is better. I think swinging is better, especially when you turn down the web assist. I think it's so much fun to just move around. The game visually, it makes you feel like you're in New York. It looks like you're in New York. The web wings are incredible. I don't want to give away my entire full thoughts of the game because I'll probably be doing a review on it tomorrow. But let me just say, as a non-spoiler, I love this game. I think this is one of, if not the best game of the year to me, a game of the year kind of game. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, but how you can possibly say that a game, and by the way, Like, I'm 17 hours through. I'm going for 100%. I'm not there yet. I actually haven't beaten the main story yet because I'm trying to do literally everything. I imagine I have at least 2 to 3 hours left of just the story. And then everything else on top of it. Now, I don't have too much left to do, but I think I can probably get to 23 to 26 hours, somewhere in that range, to 100% it. Yet again, I saw reviewers and stuff that platinumed it and stuff that talked about 30 to 35. So I don't think I'm rushing actually at all. Like, I'm constantly doing stuff, but I don't think I'm rushing. It might take me slightly less. It might maybe I'm undervaluing it. Maybe it actually is going to take me more. But I mean, that sticking to that point, right? 17 hours so far for me. Even if the game is 20, 25, 30 hours, that's $2 to $2.25 an hour, right? $2.25. Like, it's not actually, so that people want like $1 per hour. Like, yeah, it's not, I suppose, but it's actually kind of closer than you might think. And also, again, who in God's name actually cares? So who wants, and because this is what happens. You make Spider-Man 2 a 70-hour game, you lose so much of this. It just flat out happens. You know, I talk a lot, and I don't want this game to be a punching bag because I actually like this game quite a bit, but the Horizon franchise has so much fluff in it, flat out. I mean, I would absolutely say it. I loved Forbidden West. It was one of my favorite games of last year, but that game is, 40, 50, 60 hours to do everything. The amount of quality is not actually that. There is substantially less. It's just at parts of that game. It's big to be big. It's full to be full. You've had Final Fantasy games in the past do this as well. Like, it's very common. It's very common for so many of these games to try to be 30, 40, 50, 60 hours when they absolutely don't need to. And this is the stuff that Sean Layden has warned about. Why can't we have a game that's 12 hours long? Like, that's, it's something that I really appreciate. I talk about Plague Tale Requiem of last year. It was my game of the year I think that game is phenomenal. I think just a lot of people just didn't play it, maybe because it was not interesting or whatever, but I would recommend playing that game firstly. And secondly, that game is maybe 16, 17 hours. Replayability, I guess you could replay for the story, but there's not really too much reason to replay it. It doesn't have multiplayer. 16, 17, 18 hours, and it's a full price game. And I think that game is the best game because it's always good. The entire time, it's always good. And I think we need more games like that. Give me games that are under 20 hours. I mean, like next week, Alan Wake 2 is said to be 20 hours. No multiplayer. There's definitely going to be replayability to try to catch everything. 20 hours, full price. Is it worth it? Is it worth that? Because it's not $1 per hour. Yes, I think it will. I mean, obviously we don't know for sure because it matters about the quality, how good those hours are. I don't know. I could keep, like, I've done this before. I've said this before, but for some reason, I think a lot of it's like the fanboys, where it's like maybe it's because of Starfield and Starfield's so big. Well, again, like, is every hour in Starfield great? No, it's not. And I'm not saying anything, like, I actually like Starfield. I'm not like punching down to Starfield. I like it, but I think a lot of the fights is coming from that because it's more like it's recent and it's relevant. But the argument has always been dumb. I think the argument has always been dumb, and even if it's fanboys kind of leading it, it is actually very sad, and I do think generally it's not just fanboys. I think there's actually a lot of gamers that have kind of been trained by live service games, these big open world games, that games need to be 50-plus hours, that games really need to be an hour per dollar, and I really believe that in my soul, and you can look online on comments on YouTube, on Twitter, and all this stuff, and maybe it's not the entire world, right? Like, we kind of live in an echo chamber, but there's so many people that believe that. And it makes me actually very sad because it's like, could a game that's like 6 hours long survive nowadays? Rarely, because I just think people look at it and say, well, why would I pay even $40 for a 6-hour game? Like, that's not worth it. Well, it could be. Like, did you play it? Like, it could be worth it. Or, again, you go back to even the PS3 gen or before, or Xbox 360 and before. Halo, one of the best franchises of all time with some incredibly strong Halo 3, Halo Reach. These are not, yes, multiplayer, so maybe that makes things more tricky, but these are not long games, right? Now, maybe you can get the multiplayer hours, so you can play 60 hours in the multiplayer, and that would make it equal. But you know what? It's not about the hours. It's about that you had fun playing the multiplayer, right? Because if it wasn't fun, if you played 2 hours in the multiplayer and it sucked, sucked, you wouldn't play it. It's because it's good, and that's the point. These games are just good, and so you play them, and it doesn't matter how long it is. So I don't know. People are insane. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.